The H-1B visa program is a total and complete scam concocted by the lords of easy money on Wall Street and the oligarchs in Silicon Valley. The citizens in this country are what provided the platform for you nerds even to exist. We're not going to take the temperature down. We're not going to take the temperature down. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. We do not. It's no backing down. It's doubling down.
Well,
ooh la la, look what we have today. It's the H-1B visa firestorm unleashed by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy over the Christmas holiday. And people are talking about it, and rightly so, and I'm glad. Now strap in, because if you're a traditional American conservative or European conservative, or just European for that matter, you're going to probably be offended by some of the things I say about immigration in general. I've said it in other videos, and I do get some comments from time to time, but I think these things have to be said. And you know, nationalist parties, you know, Trump has called himself a nationalist in the past, you know, America first and all this. And the nationalist parties in Europe are going to have to start saying some things that people aren't going to like. And they're starting to, but, you know, they just got to get over this fear of being called racist, because I'm over it. I don't really care. European countries are for Europeans. I live in Europe, as you know. If you've been listening to this channel, I was born and raised in the United States. I was born in 1965, so I'll be 60 this year. So I'm of a certain age, almost a boomer, not quite. But I do have a perspective on this from the American point of view, and from the European point of view. I've been living in Belgium since 1990, so over half my life, well over half my life at this point. So yeah, and this whole, you know, H-1B, everyone's focusing on the H-1B visa program in particular, but that was just a lightning rod that ignited this whole inferno, this whole conflagration that's going on right now. So let's get into it and see what Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks have to say, especially in response to what Steve Bannon just said there. That was very interesting.
Well, now the big question is, how will Steve Bannon respond to Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump has weighed in on this giant debate within the MAGA base in regard to H-1B visas. These are work visas for high-skilled foreign workers that are typically hired by tech companies. Silicon Valley has taken a lot of advantage of that program. And so in speaking with the New York Post, Donald Trump said, "I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I have been a believer in H-1B. I have used it many times. It's a great program." Now, to be clear, Trump is confusing the visas that he utilizes in hiring workers for his properties. He's using a different type of visa entirely. I'll explain what that is in just a minute. But the debate right now centers on H-1B visas, which focus on high-skilled workers who are typically hired as engineers or to work in IT in Silicon Valley. These are people who have specialized skills. The types of foreign workers that Donald Trump hires for his properties are typically those who have H-2B and H-2A visas, and those are for, you know, unskilled labor, right? Agricultural workers and low-skilled workers to do, you know, work on Mar-a-Lago and other properties like that. I'll get more specific about that in just a minute. But it's really interesting to see how this is playing out, Cenk, because, you know, famously, Donald Trump has been anti-immigrant, but he has always kind of had that caveat of wanting to bring in immigrants who are high-skilled and who he feels are going to contribute to American society. And I remember in his first term, he had a conversation with Steve Bannon about it, and Steve Bannon is anti-immigration, period. He's a hardliner. That's what you heard in the compilation clip in the beginning. And so that debate just kind of went away in the first term, but now it's back because Elon Musk has the president-elect's ear, and he has benefited from foreign workers coming in and working at Tesla and things like that. There are problems with the H-1B visa program. I'll get to that in just a minute, but I'm curious what you think about this internal disagreement.
So I think this is absolutely critical, and it has very little to do with the H-1B visas. It has to do with this internal civil war, and whoever wins that, and it might be messy, and it might not be that one side wins definitively for 4 years. It might rock back and forth. We'll see how it plays out. But that's the major story here. The fact that Steve Bannon and Elon Musk are in an all-out brawl, and Trump has to figure out who to side with.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting because Trump, of course, being Trump, he says all sorts of stuff, has always said all sorts of things over the years. And yeah, he just came out during this whole kerfuffle, this brawl, in favor of what Elon Musk said. He came out in favor of Elon Musk, which therefore, by definition, should upset a huge proportion of his base, especially his MAGA base. And yeah, of course. And then he said in that quote, he said literally on New Year's Eve, I think, yeah, I'm a big fan of the H-1B visa program. Whereas literally in 2016, people have already dug up the quotes, the interviews where he said, no, H-1B is outrageous. It's taking jobs away. It's undercutting the wages, the salaries of American workers. It's outrageous. It needs to be eliminated. Now, again, we're talking specifically, this whole thing erupted over the H-1B program, which I agree with Steve Bannon, it just should be eliminated. Sorry. No, we don't need anybody from India to do any of the jobs on the H-1B, you know, these supposedly skilled jobs. Well, they are skilled jobs. Of course they are. They're skilled jobs. But the program itself has been abused since its inception to undercut American workers. You know, so instead of blue collar workers getting undercut by, you know, illegals coming over the southern border, who, you know, are now going to do all your gardening for you, this is undercutting white collar workers who, you know, have skills like software development and whatever else. So I agree with Steve Bannon that, yeah, no, we don't need to fix it and make it better and, you know, eliminate the abuses. It needs to be eliminated completely, as far as I'm concerned. There's plenty of Americans who can do these jobs, and the abuse is rampant. It's quite well known, especially in the tech sector, that jobs, you know, jobs are posted by companies, and then they say, oh, we couldn't find anybody, so we have to get somebody on H-1B visa, and then they hire somebody on the H-1B visa to save money. Yeah, if the program's there, it's going to be used, obviously, but it shouldn't be there in the first place. And this then leads into the whole immigration policy in general, and America's ridiculously dysfunctional and discivilizational immigration policy that was implemented in 1965 as a result of the Immigration and Naturalization Act, I believe it was called, which completely upended the previous policies that had been in place for many decades that were very reasonable and which focused on immigration almost exclusively from Europe, which makes sense because America was founded by Europeans for Europeans. And, you know, there were a few exceptions. Certain groups were allowed to immigrate at certain times, like Chinese, for example. A lot of cheap Chinese labor was brought in to help build the railway, for example. But that was for a certain period, and then it was stopped. So in 1965, that was all upended. You can look into that if you want to go down a rabbit hole. We won't discuss that here. But yeah, and then, of course, that leads to other things, you know, nationalism. What is nationalism? Well, are you racist if you're a nationalist? Are you racist to say what I just said, that immigrants are, you know, immigrants to a country, to a European country, like where I live, or to a country founded and created by Europeans, like all the Anglosphere countries? And is it racist to say that, well, yes, we shouldn't be importing, certainly not en masse, we shouldn't be mass immigrating or allowing mass immigration from non-European countries? No, we shouldn't. Yeah. Okay, if that's racist, so be it. But we should not be importing masses of immigrants from wildly different cultures. It's just obvious. Multiculturalism has been shown to fail. You know, even Angela Merkel said that about Germany. So let's get back into this.
Is an amazing story. And the fact that it's not absolutely clear which one is right, that they might both be right and wrong in different ways, is also interesting.
It is.
Because politics used to be so simple, right? The Republicans say this, the Democrats say that. They're both fake. It's good cop, bad cop, and at the end they give the tax cuts to the rich, right? That's how it works 98% of the time. Now the talking points are out the window, and there's people fighting on the right and the left against each other, et cetera. So along those lines, but I want to come back to H-1B visas to just give you the context of this particular fight. So that's for engineers but not extraordinary. That's a different visa for like extraordinary people that are actors, singers, et cetera, right? Or athletes. So then you've got the H-2B that is for more blue collar workers, and H-2A, which is just strictly for agriculture workers, right? H-2A is the only one that's unlimited because, keeping it real, Americans are not doing those jobs. And we need those folks to come in and do those jobs. Everybody kind of agrees to that, and at a minimum secretly agrees to that. But the other two are capped, and the question is, do you have a lot of them, some of them, or none of them? So when Trump talks about the H-1B visas, in the past in the first term, he was definitely against. And now he says, oh, I use them all the time. That's not true. He had about a dozen applications, but then withdrew them. He mainly used the H-2B visa for waiters.
Yeah, let me get to those details, because no, you're wrong actually. He was making a case in favor of H-1B visas, and Bannon disagreed with him in the first term. And then that debate just kind of went away.
Yeah, it's mixed, Anna.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe Bannon temporarily persuaded him to be against H-1B visas, but I distinctly remember how Trump was like opening up about like, oh no, but we want the skilled workers to come in.
Yeah, I know what you're remembering. It was literally an interview he did with Steve Bannon, I think, on a Sirius satellite radio show. And Steve Bannon said, we don't want these guys coming in from India and China and becoming executives in Silicon Valley. And that's where Trump did the right thing. And he was like, no, what difference does it make? As long as they're rich and they're good at what they do, et cetera, right? But technically, he was against H-1B visas in his first term.
Okay, all right, so let's get to some more specific details here. So look, the skilled worker program that offers the H-1B visas currently has a cap of 65,000 per year, a number that technology companies have pushed to increase. So the tech CEOs want to lift that cap.
I've heard, please let me know in the comments if you have more information on this. I've heard that cap has been completely ignored. Just complete. I mean, not only is there abuse about employers claiming they can't find Americans to fill certain roles, but that cap is completely ignored, and by something like a factor of 10, something outrageous. Let me know, please let me know in the comments if you have more information about that.
Because let's keep it real, it helps them save on labor costs. This does drive down wages for American workers in this line of work. There's no question about that. Li Fong wrote an excellent piece about very specific companies in Silicon Valley that have really abused this system to the detriment of American workers. So I do think that some who are against the H-1B visas are making a decent point about that. But I also think that we can keep the program while reforming it, because I also think that there might be some instances where we don't have enough American workers for certain specialized jobs, right? It really depends. I do think Americans should be considered first for these jobs.
Well, then stop discriminating against Asian and white students at our elite universities. And then there will be plenty of students, highly educated and skilled students turned out from these universities to fill those roles, won't there?
But there is evidence to indicate that that has not been the case, and I'll give you that evidence in a minute. But then you go to the H-2B visas, which are for non-agricultural, unskilled labor. Trump's businesses do benefit from this the most. They're capped at 66,000 per year. And finally, there's the H-2A visas, which are for agricultural workers, and those do not have any caps. So from 2003 to 2017, Trump's companies were approved for more than 1,000 H-2 visas for jobs like cooks, housekeepers, waiters at his properties, including Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, and the Trump National Golf Club in Jupiter, Florida. And then in each instance, the companies have to attest that there's just no American citizen that can perform this job, which I find difficult to believe when it comes to the Mar-a-Lago and the golf club jobs. And then there's the agricultural jobs, right? Currently, Trump's winery in Charlottesville, Virginia is seeking 31 foreign vineyard farm workers under the H-2A program, offering them $15.81 per hour. So, hours before Donald Trump said that he is siding with Elon Musk and he's in favor of these visas, Steve Bannon had actually just done his show and he was attacking Elon Musk for wanting to not only protect the program, but also lift the cap. And so to Elon Musk's credit, he's also open to reforming the system for its flaws and abuses. So I wanna mention that as well, but Bannon wants none of it. And so this is what he said on his show in response to Elon Musk just hours before Trump weighed in on it.
This is for Elon Musk. The reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies that made America strong, is because of H-1B. Take a big step back and F yourself, all caps, in the face. F yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. Oh yeah, tough guy? You're going to go to war on the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. You're a man-child. The H-1B visa program is a total and complete scam concocted by the lords of easy money on Wall Street and the oligarchs in Silicon Valley to both initially to just increase profit margins. But there's a darker element to it today, a contempt of America and American citizens, and we're not going to tolerate it. You need to honor this country, and you need to honor the citizens in this country. The citizens in this country are what provided the platform for you nerds even to exist. Because in the predatory nature, the Darwinian environment of the world as it is, you would have already been crushed and destroyed.
Ooh, pretty based statement there from Steve Bannon. I have to admit, I don't know much at all about Steve Bannon. I think we're going to be hearing more about him in the weeks to come, so I will look into him. But from what he said there, yeah, I agree so far. You know, it's, and I can see that this is an area where certainly Cenk and probably Anna can agree too on certain points. You know, they agree on the fact that an oligarchy is running the United States. That is absolutely true. United States federal politics is completely and utterly captured by corporations and donors and money. That's just patently obvious. So I'm going to leave it there for now before we go down into some ultra-nationalist rabbit hole. But I have a feeling there's going to be some of those coming up. So if you like this kind of content, please leave a comment. I am reading all comments these days, replying to quite a few. I really appreciate the back and forth. And even if you don't like what I'm saying, you know, leave a respectful comment. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong if you think I'm wrong. I'll be happy to debate you, absolutely. But not just some stupid Reddit style, you know, name calling, you know, sort of comment. Like, leave real comment. Most of you leave real comments, but, you know, often when people are mad about something they disagree with, all they just do is erupt in ad hominems and insults. But in the meantime, also, if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you. See you in the next one.